You know what, Sam?
What?
Marty Necas is on fire.
Yes, he is. All right, we're back with another episode of the Caniac Report, and yes, Sam Necas, boy, he is just on a whole nother planet entirely. I'm telling you, when he's on, he's my favorite forward. But we will get to recapping the game. First things first is we have a link for donations. So if you feel like you want to donate, there is a link to that in both our traditional side of podcasting, the Apples, the Spotify's, and on YouTube. So if you like you want to donate, those there the links are in those descriptions. Another thing too is we currently have a giveaway going, and
Yes.
and Sam, I know you said that the rules was take a picture of your I voted for sticker.
Yep.
You think it'd be fine just for them just to say like just vote or I
That's
vote?
fine. I voted. Show me your I voted sticker. Whatever is the preference there, but that's the key thing. Just, tell us you voted. Hopefully you wouldn't lie about that. So I thought, yeah, if you send us the sticker if you've got it, picture of you at the polling place, just tell us you voted, however creative you want to do it. But election day is Tuesday. I'm gonna run this promotion until 12, 1 ish on Tuesday. Let's say 1 o'clock Tuesday is when I'll pick the winner. So 1 o'clock Tuesday gives you your lunch hour if you want to go vote on your lunch hour before work, lunch hour, and then after work it would be too late anyway because the game. So you have until 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock on
And keep
election day.
And keep an eye on your DMs because if you DM us, we'll DM back
Yep.
if you
However,
somehow are the winner or
yep.
email you back.
However you enter it, that's how we're gonna respond back to you is through that method of communication. So just make sure you do that. You can post and tag us on Twitter, Instagram. You don't have to DM us. Just show us your pride and that you voted on election day, or if you early voted, that counts too. Doesn't matter. As long as you voted, we'll count it. So Sam and I are very patriotic people. We love this country. We take our civic duty seriously. So we thought it'd be fun to have a little fun with it as well and do a giveaway on election day. And what better way to do that than just tell us you voted? So and instead of being stressed at home, no matter who wins, you can go be stressed at a hockey game and just watch the Hurricanes hopefully take on and beat the Flyers.
Hey, I'm watching the game regardless of election night or not. So
Well,
that's
there
my
you go.
plan that night. Another thing too is obviously Sam and I were doing our portion of this episode, but this episode is going to be a little bit longer because we have a guest, and his name is Keener from Keener's Jerseys. It's me interviewing him. So on the later half of this episode, you'll see that interview. It was really fun. I really hope you guys enjoy it because I enjoyed it, and Keener is a very nice, amazing guy.
Well,
So
so Sam, I guess we'll try and be brief so they can enjoy him and get rid of me because they get you to tell your point of view.
no. We still have to do our part. But now we're gonna get on to some NHL stuff, Sam. NHL recently released because it's the beginning of the month is their 3 stars of the month, and
Okay,
those
I
three
must have missed that.
stars, yes, they did. I'm not really that shocked with the way the teams are going, honestly. But number one, Kale McCarr. He's a gifted player. Doesn't surprise me.
Not even a little.
Kyle Connor
Yep.
from Winnipeg, and Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov from Minnesota. And
Yeah.
Winnipeg and Minnesota, both of those teams, Sam, are on fire right now.
So what's great is there was a graphic because you know where we sit for our season tickets, we can see the Bally broadcast, and so I'm sure you saw it, but they popped up a statistic
FanDuel
of
broadcast.
you're right, FanDuel Sports Network broadcast, and they threw a graphic up on the screen showing like points per game. Number one is Kirill Kaprizov. Number two is Marty Necas. They're like I think Kaprizov is like 1.81 goals per game, and then or points per game, and then Necas is like 1.80 points per game. So it's just those. They're both really good players, and that just shows like where Necas is right now. So it's those two guys are racking up the points.
Yes, they are. And Sam, honestly, keeping Necas, I mean, to me, it makes me feel a little bit better
Yeah.
of the whole Gensel thing. It
Oh,
really
absolutely.
does, because it is related to that whole incident. And we already discussed about that. We don't need to discuss that again, but it's really making it feel better by how
Oh yeah,
Necas
because he's
is
racking up
going.
the points. Like the big thing was is we were worried about the skill, and so far, Sam, I think the team is proving us wrong. We said they weren't going to be, that good. There's a lot of new faces. Offense dropped off. Well, so far, and this team, every game they've won, uh, every time they've scored 4 goals, they've won. At least 4, they've won. I think they won one when they scored just 3, but seems the magic number this season is 4, and that gets them over the hump for basically a win. So,
Yeah.
and they're
And it's
doing it a
against
lot.
good teams too. Vancouver, we did it to.
Yes.
Calgary, when they were on fire, we did it to them. And most recently, Washington. So we played some good teams. It's not like
Yep.
we played a lot of bad teams, which
Nope.
is great. Another thing too, Sam, is got news from the Islanders. Long Island. Not so good news for them. Again, I don't really like to talk about injuries that much, but considering they've lost Matthew Barzell and Adam Pelech to long-term injuries, to me that a little bit warrants just a mention, because
And they're a
especially since
divisional
they're in
opponent.
our exactly. That's what I was going to say too. So we'll see how the Islanders do without them. They already lost today against the Rangers.
Yep.
So it's already not looking good for them. But Sam, honestly, they're a team that is honestly, if you look at the Metro Division right now, seems like they're starting to be a division within the division. You have the
Yes.
4 teams in us, Rangers, New Jersey, and us,
Caps.
Rangers, and Caps. Yeah, Caps. Sorry.
Don't forget
Forgot
them.
about the
They
Caps.
I know because well, I mean to be fair, everyone's just probably shocked that they're where they even are. They're having a Cinderella start to the season.
Yes. Now, do I think they stay there? No, but you never know. That's just how hockey is.
Look,
And
if
then, and
Ovechkin is racking it up and playing like he's been playing, they're in a good way.
yes, they are. And then you kind of have the bottom half, which is like 5 points below the top half,
Yep.
which is Columbus, Pittsburgh, Islanders, and Columbus, Pittsburgh, Islanders. I'm forgetting a team in there somewhere right now for some reason, but you kind of get the gist of what's going on with our division. Oh, Philadelphia,
Columbus. So you missed Columbus too, I think.
Columbus, Pittsburgh, Islanders, and Philadelphia. It was Philadelphia that I
Oh,
missed.
okay. You must have cut out when you said Columbus. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I hopefully I said Columbus, but if I didn't, you already corrected me. But it's interesting to see that division. We'll see how that continues as we get
Yep.
further into the season. And another thing too, Sam, just wanted to briefly point this out, is the NHL Players Association formed a cryonic traumatic. I'm not even going to pronounce the last word. I practiced it, which is funny, but I completely forgot how to pronounce it. But it's a long E word. And but it's basically just to make it's a committee of players trying to get the whole league to understand um the the cost of just how or severe of how concussions are to the
Mm,
brain. And I think that's good, Sam. I really do. Because even because we have to realize that it's just a sport, obviously, and
yeah.
when players get concussions, it doesn't matter which team they're on. It sucks. It just does.
Yeah. Because it can be a career ending, it can be anything like that. So it's a problem. Like Jeff Skinner suffered from issues with those. Sidney Crosby at one point was dealing with concussions. George Stahl had a concussion. If everybody remembers that kept him out like half a season.
Didn't Cam
Um,
Ward get a concussion? I
yeah, he may have
believe.
gotten one too. So they are serious injuries that can have prolonged effects that will keep you out for any period of time from short to long. So yeah, it's serious.
Yeah, it really is. But that's pretty much it to NHL news. And we're gonna get to Hurricanes news here, but we're gonna go to one of our sponsors first. I know one of the most exciting things about Black Friday is a laptop that I can get $250 off. That's something I don't normally get. Except with Raycon, because with Raycon you get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year, but that doesn't mean they're not having any sales for Black Friday. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering my viewers up to 30% site-wide. For example, they now feature a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once, especially if you haven't checked out their latest model, which includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must-have for any audio lover. It's time to save big for Black Friday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN. Okay, Sam, let's get to some Hurricanes news. And something did come out recently. Sportico released their valuation rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we crossed the $1 billion threshold for the first time in franchise history, I believe.
Which is awesome.
Which is, yeah, that is just great. We went up, I mean, if you compare us to other teams in the standings, we're still a little bit low. I believe we're like 22nd on that list.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what's happened with this team, because before Tom, I do have some stats here.
Well, Tom Dundon, just a quick thing, he bought the team for $420 million,
which was the lowest in the league at the time.
Now it looks like he bought it for only 52%. So I don't know if he owns more of that now or not.
Yeah, he later, after becoming the majority owner, he did buy the rest of the percentage. So he's now full majority owner of the Hurricanes. It's a lot bigger than just 52%.
Yeah, I just checked. He owns 100% of the team now.
Yep, he does. And so, yeah, in 2018, the Hurricanes were valued at $230 million, dead last in the NHL. But now with Dundon doing all this stuff, especially with what's going to happen around Lenovo Center, it's skyrocketing. They're up 32% from last year's numbers. Now produced 70. Well, I guess 72 consecutive sellouts now.
Yeah.
And last year they finished 4th among U.S. NHL teams in attendance of 18,798,000 people. Wow. That's amazing, Sam.
Look,
can you believe that?
It's crazy that where this team came from. I mean, like you said, we were valued so low. And I mean, that's why you had this rumor mills going that, we were going to get bought out and relocated. Fortunately, you had someone in Tom Dundon who bought the team and who believed in the team, and Peter Karmanos, who believed that hockey could still work in Carolina, because when he sold the team, it was part of the agreement that you can't move this team for, I think it was 5 years.
10.
It was 10 years. So
yeah, 10 years.
And I think they've proven now that this team isn't going anywhere. Tom Dundon's not moving it, not after all the money he's put into it. So it's a huge thanks to Karmanos for finally selling the team, and for Tom Dundon to take over and really renovate and bring the value of this franchise up to a place where, yeah, this team's not going anywhere. And that's just awesome.
Yes, it really is. And another thing too, Sam, Hurricanes are 2-0 on this homestand. I just want to speculate. Great start so far. Where should this team be at the end of this homestand? Because we're about to embark after that on like a 3-game road trip out like west. Basically, it's not Canadian, but
so we've won 2 of them, right?
Out west. Yes, we have.
Sorry, I'm tired. um, I want to win. I want to get. Let's see, 2, 4. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 points. I want to get 7 of 8 points.
Yeah, I think we can do that, and I think we can do more
I
possibly
think
with
we can
that.
get all. I think we can get all 8.
Yeah, the way we're going, I could see that too. Because I thought the toughest game out of this homestand was the game that we played today against Washington.
Yep.
And if we can beat Washington, you would think, again, kind of knocking on wood here, but you
Yep.
would think you can beat against Philadelphia and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yes, Philadelphia not doing good right now, but they do have an exciting rookie in
Yep.
Mitchkov, so you got to watch out for him. And then against Pittsburgh, you have a team that still has Sidney Crosby and Malkin, but at the same time, Sam, they're like one of the oldest teams in the league. And and from what I've heard from a couple of Pittsburgh fans, actually, is that the age is really showing on the ice. They're just not fast. So those are two teams Hurricanes can really, really be. I'll say more so Pittsburgh than Philadelphia.
Yeah, but
If
Pittsburgh's older, so we can burn them.
yeah,
But I mean, but don't just rest and think it's a walk off win, because
no,
Sidney Crosby will burn you, and so will Malkin. And Malkin's having a really good year, and so is Letang. I mean, Malkin, Crosby, Letang, still very good players. You can't count them out. If you do, they're going to burn you. Crosby, greatest player of our generation that we grew up, the greatest player of the generation that we grew up watching as kids. So yeah, he's still good. So be careful.
you reminded me of that commercial that we see every now and then when we watch the Hurricane games, where you
Oh, okay.
have the young stars and the Connor Bedards, the
Yeah.
Jack Hughes of the world, just saying like, "Oh, we're so amazing" and all that stuff. Then at the end, you have Sidney Crosby being like, "Kids these days." I
Yeah.
love that commercial.
Yeah, that's a good commercial. Look, Crosby and Malkin are heck of a hockey players. If you go into that game thinking it's an easy out, they're gonna beat you. Like that's like they're a good team. Nedeljkovic, if he's in goal, has played very well against us. So don't go into it thinking it's an easy out. Go ahead and play your game. Play how you played against Boston. Play how you've been playing against Washington. And you can extend this win streak, which is, by the way, now it's the current longest active win streak in the league. You can extend it from 6 to 7 to 8 games, and which would be pretty awesome. That this team hasn't done that in a while, because I think last year we didn't win more than 4 in a row. I think maybe 5 last season, and we did that a few times. But uh, yeah, I mean, you want to pile up the wins, and you want to do it at home.
Yes, you really do, because home is like should be the Hurricanes' forte. So far, with all these road trips, it looks like the forte is on the away games.
Mm,
But the more home games we play, the more hopefully we can show how dominant we are, especially with the atmosphere. Because I mean, obviously, the players they're the ones that need to play good, but us fans, I would say, have a responsibility of trying to get the building riled up and going. Wouldn't you say?
absolutely, yeah, for sure. And Hurricanes fans do a good job. There's a
They
reason
do.
we've gotten the nickname "loudest house in the NHL." So
Yes, we do. And well, you know what? We'll get to it. Because we have just one game, I believe, against Washington,
yeah,
Sam.
because we got the that really fun Bruins game in last time.
Yes, we did. So, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and do a couple more sponsors, Sam, and then we'll get to the uh recapping the Washington game. What gets me excited about watching hockey is the fast-paced nature of the sport. Yes, that was Sam Driscoll, our other co-host that you heard. In fact, that is what got me sold when one of the first batch of games I watched was Game 7 between the Hurricanes and the Oilers back in 2006. Now, when it comes to going to Hurricane games, I am able to see quite a few great deals I'd like to go to in the future using the Game Time app. One of its features that I like to use are the seat views because it helps me visualize what I will be seeing when I'm sitting in that particular seat. Another key feature I like is the all in pricing that shows your total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
Okay, Sam. Let's get to recapping the great win against Washington. That's all you had to. You didn't even say anything. You just put up two thumbs.
It was a great
You're
game.
happy.
Oh, it was a fun game. You know, it's fun to have a competitive game and see this team compete. I mean, it's always fun to get those blowout games, but those exciting, closer games are always fun too. I loved it. The building was great tonight. It was a good crowd, fun game, tight game. A little got a little concerned there in that first period, though.
Yeah. Well, let's get to that first period, Sam. First goal is made by former Capitals player who had a big night.
Yeah.
And Dmitry Orlov. Great goal. And I mean, you could tell with Charlie Lindgren that his vulnerability was glove side, or at least getting the puck high. And Orlov certainly did that with a blast. Such a great goal. Made it 1-0. And then honestly, I thought throughout the most of the first period, I thought Carolina was doing really good until the end of, toward the end of the first period. Got a little bit of some concern, Sam. We got penalized, and I thought they were penalties. I did. 5-on-3.
They were penalty. Yeah, I had no problem with the calls. They were stupid. Like that one by Goss Despair was like,
yeah, it was stupid.
But yeah,
5-on-3, full 2-minute power play too.
Yeah.
For Washington.
And it seems
Sam,
it's really the only way they could score. Like anyone can really score against us on the power play is if they get 5-on-3s. Granted, we've allowed, I would say, a lot of those lately, which is not a good thing at all.
2 games in a row,
which is not good.
Yeah, you can't do that. So one thing Hurricanes probably could improve on from this game is probably staying a little bit more disciplined. But regardless, Hurricanes still won. And obviously, you have Svetch taking the first penalty, Goss Despair taking the second one. So I believe it was a hook and a trip. And that's honestly, I mean, the start of that 5-on-3 power play, or penalty kill, I should say, for the Hurricanes, very good until Ovechkin was like, "Hold my beer." And
yeah, well,
he did. Oh, he just did his typical Ovechkin thing.
Well, I said this in I said this in the after the game, during the game, right before the goal. The whole arena saw it coming. The whole arena saw it coming because he got away off to the side in his office and just ripped it. And I'll be honest with you, though, I thought Kochetkov was drifting on that shot. So I do think
Well,
it's
he
one.
was too deep. He was too deep in his net.
Yeah,
I
because
thought.
I truly think of all the Ovechkin one-timers I've seen, I felt like that one was one he should have had. But it's also Ovechkin, so I'm not harping on him for it at all. But I would have liked to have seen a save, but it's Ovechkin, so I let it slide. I let it slide.
Yeah. So it's 1-1. Obviously, us Canes fans are thinking if we can just get this tied into the second period, we could be fine.
Yep.
But it doesn't. Like I believe at 15. No, I say probably around 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds left in the first period. You have Brandon. Oh, I'm going to butcher that name. Duhaime. I believe Duhaime.
Yeah, Duhaime. Yep.
Yep. He gets the second goal for Washington, and it's 2-1. And we're like, oh no. That goal I think Kochetkov should have had. Now, it was a weird goal, I thought, Sam, because a lot of our players were trying to kind of swap. It seems like all of our players are trying to swap the puck down. It was just a weird sequence, Sam. One of those things where a lot of our players are trying to get the puck out. We couldn't.
Yep.
I think Slavin was one of them. He actually couldn't, which honestly, I don't think this was the best game from Slavin, to be honest.
No, I
Not the
think
best.
Slavin actually had a really rough night.
But because he was part of that scrum of trying to get the puck out, but he couldn't. And Duhaime was able to score, but Kochetkov kind of needed to make that save because it wasn't that challenging of a shot.
No, it was an awkward situation, and it goes in. So it's like a rough feeling to
It
end
was
that
off
period.
the pad and in, I believe, too.
Yeah, it was a rough ending to that period. Disappointing period, and because I thought we played very well, got penalty trouble, and then moved on. And big mistake in your own zone cost you and it burned us. But fortunately, that was all she wrote for the Caps.
Yes, because in the second period, Hurricanes came out buzzing. Honestly, I would say probably their best play in the entire game was the first 5-6 minutes of that second period.
Yeah, we were on fire. They were just burnt. They were humming.
They were, and I
think a lot of it has to do with the Caps played yesterday, and they're probably tired.
Yep, they did play yesterday, so that kind of helped with us too. But Martin Necas scores, and this was off of a bad line change from Washington. Just very bad line change. Robinson. Well, actually, I didn't really start with Robinson. Started with KK actually passing it to Robinson because he saw the weakness there in the line change from the Capitals.
Yep.
Passes it to Robinson. Robinson sees Necas is all alone in the Caps zone, and he just jukes Lindgren out. My gosh, that was such a filthy goal, Sam. Kind of like the Jarvis goal against Seattle.
Oh, yeah, no, it was dirty. Lindgren bit on the first move, and Necas just put it in the empty net. I mean, it was a heck of a play. Necas is just on fire, like I said in the one-liner this episode. He's just been outstanding. Dude is on pace for a heck of a season. And if he gets to that, I've said before, I think he can be a 100-point player. I do. I think he can be that 80-plus guy. And he could probably get the way he's playing now. He's going to get pretty close to 100 points. So if he keeps that up all season and he crests that 100-point mark, one, he's going to be worth a lot of money. And this franchise, this cheap franchise, is going to have to learn how to fork money over, because you're not going to get him cheap. He's going to be a UFA. Pay him, because you're not going to be able to go out and get anybody that skilled, that young, and a free agency. If you want to hope Mikko Rantanen hits the market, okay, but
At this point, I keep Necas over Rantanen.
Yeah,
The
that's what
way
I would do, and
Necas
I
is
would do the
playing.
same thing too. I mean, granted, we'll see what he does the rest of the season. He's just hot right now. He will inevitably cool off, I'm sure. But I'm saying if he doesn't, and somehow he crests the 100 points, then yeah, you gotta pay him, and you gotta
Yes,
get
you
that deal
definitely
done
will.
this off season. Has to get
So
done.
yes, and speaking of Necas, there's actually a projected stats that I see from elite prospects,
Okay.
and he is on pace, Sam, to get 49 goals,
Yeah, right.
98 assists for 147 points.
Yeah, that's not going to be it. So look, if he
It's not.
look, I think Hurricanes fans will be happy if he's over a point per game. I would say 85 points would be a good benchmark for him. If
I'd
he
be
does,
happy if he I'd be happy if he get 80 points.
so 80, 85. I want 85. I want over a point per game for him. And if he does that, sign him, because you're not going to get anybody like that on the market unless you think you're getting Rantanen. That's the only comparable there. It's just sign your in-house guy. You have exclusive negotiating rights this offseason, so just get it done. He
Yes.
wants to
Now,
be here. If he didn't, he would have been like, okay, let's get this deal done. He wanted to stay. He's here. He's playing well. If he really didn't want to be here, guess what he wouldn't be doing? He would be playing bad. Right? He wouldn't be playing good. He'd be playing bad. But he clearly wants to be here, and it's working out. So he's got the first power play minutes. So now we're seeing what actually skilled players can do. And I've said it all along. They need to be willing to pay the skilled guys. And if they don't pay Necas, like they didn't pay Gensel, like they didn't pay other guys who just
trust me, I'll
pay
have
your
a huge
skilled
fit.
players.
I will have a huge fit if the Hurricanes don't pay Necas, because I mean, what happened with Gensel, that was a different thing. But this is going to be entirely on the Hurricanes. And
Yeah.
if they don't sign Necas, then it's not going to go well with fans.
No, and you can't. And I'll tell you right now, if you get to trade deadline next season, he's not signed, trade him, because this team won't get it done in the offseason. They just won't. They won't.
Yeah.
They've never have. They can't. They struggle with high-end UFA players. They always have. Needs to get done before trade deadline next season. I say it needs to get done this summer, but that's, again, assuming he has a good year. And if he keeps this up, if he's in that 100-point range, again, I'm going to be happy with 80, which means he's going to cool down. But if he gets 85 points, sign him. If he gets 100 points, you open the checkbook and give him what he wants. Because not even Aho's scoring 100 points. Or even Aho's had a slow start to the season offensively, but
well, we still need to see Aho get going. I think, even though I thought that line was, I thought the Aho line was actually really good. I thought they were just snake bitten because of just the ridiculous saves Lindgren was making, but still needs to produce more points.
He does, and I also will say this: I think it's time to move Necas off that stall line.
You mean Jarvis?
Yeah, Jarvis off that stall line.
I don't blame you. I honestly don't, because even again, like, they're playing well.
Yeah, it's nothing about
Jarvis.
play.
Yeah, Jarvis isn't really getting points.
No, and I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap if he wants to play this the way the stall line does. I'm not paying you to forecheck and keep the other team's line from scoring goals. I'm paying Jarvis to score. So I would say bump him back up to play with Necas.
Yeah, well, it's just hard just because they're on this 6-game winning streak, and you don't.
Okay. Well, then put him with
things.
Well, then bump Carrier. Swap Carrier and Jarvis. Jarvis being on that third scoring line would make that line a third scoring line. So like Drury, Jarvis, and Blake would be a pretty good line. I think would be a pretty good line.
Yeah, I think
you got to get Jarvis going. You got to get Jarvis going.
Yeah, you do, and I like how that line plays, but
He's not going to
Jarvis.
score on that line. He's not going to score on that line. He can't
Yeah.
carry that line. Like if
No,
you wanted
because
to
of how
have,
small he is.
yeah, if you wanted to have an offensive guy on that line, you should have kept Niederreiter, but nope. Instead, instead of putting a $4 million player on that line, you put an $8 million player on that line. So tell me how that makes sense.
7 million.
7 million, 8 million. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's all close enough. Jarvis makes a lot more money than Niederreiter. So you chose to do that instead of Nino. So I don't understand, but that's fine.
Yeah. But obviously, let's finish this game up here. Dmitry Orlov gets his second goal.
Yep.
Again, assist from Necas and Chatfield. And with Chatfield getting a point, Sam, now all of our players now have at least a point in, I believe, 10 games.
Yes.
So that's great.
Yep.
And then in the third period, just to help solidify things, I thought third period was again another dominant period by Carolina. I thought we saw Washington push a little bit in that third, but still, Carolina was doing
they
good.
pushed some, but they're gassed. They played yesterday.
Yeah, and Svechnikov said was scoring the empty net. Good for Svech for getting the goal, and Carolina wins 4-2. Sam, aren't you happy?
Yes, very happy. Got the win. I took my buddy who's a Caps fan there, so
he just wanted to see Ovechkin score.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he grew up with us in that era where that was, that's his team and that's his player. So for him, he's seen him win a cup. He wants to see him break the record. So I always try to, bring him to the games because we're friends.
Yeah, and he might have been a former guest on the
Yeah,
podcast.
he was. Yeah, he was a former guest. Alex was on here talking about his career as well. So that was fun. That was a good episode. I've had people tell us that was one of their favorites.
Yes, it was a good episode indeed. Well, Sam, let's get to my interview with Keener. So
have fun.
Yeah, I will have fun. All right. Well, we have Keener from Keener Jerseys, and I just want to say thank you for coming onto one of our episodes. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Keener. I run the business with my partner, Jason, Keener Jerseys. We do the customizing for a bunch of NHL teams, including the Carolina Hurricane. And thanks for having me. This is great to be on the show.
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of want to start at the beginning. So what wanted you to kind of create jerseys?
Well, I found I'm a very, very old man, and when I was a young kid, it was like the early '80s, and I noticed that when I got my first Jets jersey, because we're in Winnipeg, nobody could do the numbers properly. I'd go to the games and be like, "This doesn't look like that." So, my mom found some stiff fabric for me, and and it turned out it was only patches, elbow patches, and she could find blue and red, like the Jets. So I'd cut them up and make sleeve numbers. I couldn't make back numbers, couldn't find anything big enough. So that's where I started trying to do it myself.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I'm guessing you just always had the idea of I could do this better, right?
Yeah, or more accurate, than the stores around there. It was just everyone just had vinyl numbers, heat press stuff, and back then nobody seemed really interested about matching what was on the ice.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. What it was like back in the day. So obviously you've made this into a business, and I just want to say, what was the process like of we're going to make a business out of this? Obviously, you said you had a business partner.
Yeah, he's got a lot of business sense, and he's an accountant, and we've always wanted to start a business together, and we had these few ideas that just never went anywhere. And in the whole time, I was just in my apartment customizing jerseys for collectors from all over North America, and he would come over for beers or whatever, and he'd be like, "Where's this one from?" I'd be like, "That one's from Pittsburgh. This one's from Texas." So eventually he was like, I don't know, can you do a business with this? I'm like, I don't know. I think you need licenses and stuff. And I don't know if there's a lot of money in just doing jerseys for collectors. So then the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, our local Canadian Football League team, needed some help and came to me because I knew someone there. And so we started doing practice jerseys for the Bombers, and then he's like, Jay's like, yeah, I think this is where the business is. So doing rec team jerseys, we do that as well, like for beer leagues and stuff, and high school teams. So uh, when I had done some of that when I was younger, and I always thought they just wanted the cheapest stuff. Like a team would come to me and I would say, okay, well, I could do sewn on numbers on the sleeve and back and names. It would be like $50 a jersey. And they'd be like, $50? Like, I can get it for $1.25 all numbered at the store with vinyl. I'd be like, well, then go get vinyl. Like, look like everyone else. So Jay had the idea of like, why don't we just present like a higher class jersey to people that can be customized like the NHL? So that's how that all got started. That was 10 years ago now. So now we're full-fledged business owners.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, what do you say? It definitely took dedication to get the business going and all that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how much you have to like. I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own, that's for sure. Jay's the business guy, getting like grants and loans and just permits and all that stuff. It's yeah, you gotta jump through a lot of hoops.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Um, Obviously, you guys are based in Winnipeg, and I mean, obviously, the hockey team, the Winnipeg Jets, there right now aren't the same ones that you had growing up. So, what was the relationship like with the Jets?
We really have no relationship with them at all. Like,
Oh, you don't? Okay,
no.
sorry.
Uh, well, no. There's a company in Winnipeg called All Canadian that used to be when I was a kid, like the mecca for me. It was like I would go in there and they would have like because they do embroidery, they do numbers. They did the numbers for the Jets back in the '90s. They did a lot of the IHL when the IHL was a league, and they all had very fancy numbers. It was all done here in Winnipeg by this company. And yeah, it was just I would go in there. I kind of got to know them. I was a little kid that would just come in and be like, "Can I get some patches made?" And they would help me out, or they would give me some numbers to take home and put on jerseys. So they're a great company. They have a long-standing relationship with the Jets. So Jets can have them. They can have the Jets. So we're so yeah, that's all good. So no need to apologize. I was born in Edmonton and grew up. Well, because I grew up in the '80s, so it was all about Gretzky back then. So
Oh, yeah.
I was Oilers all the way, and we do the Oilers now. So that's my that's good enough for me.
Yeah, well, you kind of answered my next question because you said you grew up in Edmonton, but you're in Winnipeg now with the business. Was there, I guess I would say, was Winnipeg just a good place to start the business, or like, how did it get to Winnipeg?
Yeah, well, we just moved to Winnipeg when I was 10. Jay lived here his whole life. It's funny that it turned out there's a company here that's our competition. And if we
Yeah.
had been like pretty much anywhere else in North America that had a hockey team, we'd probably be the only place in town. So we'd be doing the on ice and the retail. But just happens we're in Winnipeg with another long-standing company that does just what we do.
Do you think that competition kind of is good in some sense or bad in some sense? What do you think about that?
Well, we really don't have any contact with them. And I've always loved their stitching. Like when I started the business, I was like, how does All Canadian have their stitches so nice all the time? Where we have 15 sewers and like I'm pulling out my hair, trying to get them all to sew exactly the same. And The dream was always to hire someone that worked at All Canadian, but we never, like, I don't know, their sewers just never leave there. I like would love some insider information, but we just can't get it. And so now, with through our own work, like standardized the stitching, gave everyone rulers and guidelines on what your stitches need to look like. So I think we're there. It took a while to get there, though.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, just from looks of it, you guys are having a pretty successful business. But is there like an average work day for you, or since you're kind of owner, is every day just different?
Yeah, like I'm glad we finally got to the point where Jay and me are no longer directly involved in production. Like it was like for the first 5 or 6 years we were there, first one's there, last one's to leave. Had to do anything. If I like got sick, production pretty much was like didn't know what to do. And now we really hired the people to run the production. So we've got levels of people, and so Jay and me can now focus more on the business and work on the business rather than in the business. And so it's like a typical day is just like every day is different. First of all, we got a big bunch of embroidery machines keeping an eye on that have a laser that cuts everything out of it. So that's relatively new. So we're keeping an eye on that, training people and just learning how to understand it. But yeah, it's funny. Like Friday was Carolina. Carolina is one of our favorite clients because they every time they have a concert or some celebrity coming through the arena, they want a jersey for them and they want the jersey to stand out. And so we got a list of acts coming through town. The only one I knew was Mariah Carey, but yeah, because I'm kind of out of the picture and out of the scene. I don't know what bands are what these days, but
Yeah.
they're like, so like we put tags on the inside saying customized for Mariah Carey, have a great show. And they request sometimes like, yeah, can we do the numbers in glitter, like 2 layers of glitter, and get the tour patch on the shoulder? And it's nice that Carolina has no shoulder patches because we're always putting patches on the shoulders for the performance. And I think Ava sent you a Theo Vaughn one we did.
Yes, I know Theo. I watched some of his episodes, so when I saw that, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Friday we just had to start making all these mock-ups for, and then we send them to Carolina for them to approve. I don't know if the celebrities ever see this, if they're requesting, or if it's just our contacts at Carolina. But yeah, so I went through a bunch of mock-ups, making sure they're right, making sure it said Mariah and it was as sparkly as could be for Mariah.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, our listeners probably most of them are Canes fans. So if they ever saw like a custom made Hurricanes jersey, would you say the odds are pretty high that you made them? Pretty much.
Yeah, because there are the pre-stitched numbers that just get heat pressed on, but it's a big hassle for teams. So we've come in and we're like, no, you don't need to do that anymore. So when someone comes in and like, hey, this is a VIP, we can usually get it done right away. And so if you see anyone at a game wearing anything that's not a player, like a custom name, number, then that's probably us.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really find that interesting. Um, another thing too is I looked on your guys' website and I see that there is Keener's blog, and just wanted to know where did the blogging thing start coming up?
Well, that was my business partner Jay. Would always like we'd sit around, drink beers, watch hockey. I would tell him like dumb facts that I've known for years that nobody really knows, or I'd show him a video of something and he'd be like, "That's crazy. How did you catch that?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. I just catch these things." And he's like, for years, he's like, "You got to start telling people about this. Like, start blogging about it." And I was like, "Jay, nobody cares. Nobody cares about this stuff." And he's like, "You'd be surprised. Just try it." So then we had a few failed attempts at stuff, trying to get stuff out there, and it never really stuck because it was just always him and me having to do it. We did a podcast for a little while that got 2 reviews, and 1 review was worst podcast ever, and so we stopped doing that.
Dang.
Yeah, so didn't do that, and it was basically him and me drinking beers, and we never stuck to it was nothing professional like what you do. It was awful, and fair enough, it was probably the worst. So we went through all of these things trying to find a voice, and we hired social media people that are like, oh, you should do this, and we can take this and do it this and package it this way. So then it was like, okay, since I'm not like working 15 hours a day anymore, I can write something. I can do a quick little video or something. So now it's kind of, I'm encouraged to do it by the people that work for me, because I guess I pay them to encourage me. But that's how that all got started.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just gotta try new stuff to know if it's working or not, you know?
Yeah, that's true. So now we get some good views, good comments. Nobody's commenting this is the worst thing I've ever seen anymore. So I guess I can take that as a victory.
There you go. But yeah, I thought the blogging thing was actually kind of cool. Now I do want to get into the process of like how jerseys are made. So what is that process like of making a jersey?
Well, when it comes to NHL teams, we don't really have too much creativity. They're basically just telling us what they want.
Yeah.
Um, this year, we came up with 6 different fonts for the specialty jerseys to offer teams, because it was at the point where Carolina would be like, "This is our specialty jersey," which in the past we'd have to copy what was made on the ice, but now that they don't wear them anymore, it's more of like, I don't know, like, what do you guys suggest? So we can get creative with those. Um, like, yeah, the Hockey Fights Cancer, the military, and the St. Patrick seems to be the ones that are the main ones. So we've been working with fonts for each team in their own font to choose from. I used to live in Ireland, and I was just in Ireland again this past spring. So
Wow.
tried to use some of that for the St. Patrick's Day ones, and did a like, I don't, if you're familiar with Guinness, when a Guinness is poured, it cascades, and so it goes from like nearly black to a light brown, and it's got these waves going through it. And I was like, well, that should be a number. Like, we could make a number that looks like that. So we did. I didn't want it. No one's really chosen it yet. Vegas wanted to see a sample of it, but I know it's like Ireland's not too pumped about being associated with just alcohol all the time,
Yeah.
but it is a nice look. And one of their main exports. So for NHL teams, that's the best we can do with them. With the Hurricane and their concert jersey, sometimes we can do some little thing. We can suggest something. Someone was coming through town whose logo was like a like a lipstick mark from Lips. So we tried to incorporate that into the back number. I don't know who it was, because I don't know any of their names, but
Yeah.
so you get an opportunity there. But even with rec teams, usually they come in with their own ideas, and then we can tweak them. Like, how about this font with this jersey? Oh, you want we can put like a design in the numbers, and give them suggestions. So it's never so much like a color combination. People usually come at us like, our colors are gray and blue, so we're like, okay, so we can do something like this with a thick number, something like Ottawa would use back in the early 2000s and their most recent reverse retro, something like that. It's a nice smooth number, it's fat, takes up a lot of space, fills up the jersey. So get an opportunity to do that, which is nice. It always hurts when they're like, nah, we'll just go with basic block. Like, oh, ouch. But yeah, it's fun getting in there. Now we have design people that do it, and they send me their ideas, and I'm like, offer them this, and that'll look cool. And most of the time it's like, they don't like it. I'm like, okay, well, anyway, they would have had a really nice jersey if they went with my idea, but oh well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of answered kind of my next question too. It's usually so. What comes to mind is usually you guys, both you and the team, have to kind of agree on what to do when it comes to the jersey stuff. Now, the only thing, what's funny, the only thing when it came to me when it comes to jerseys, I only was able to heat press numbers. That was it.
Yeah. Did you use
Yeah,
an iron or a heat press?
I think it was a heat press.
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
don't think
started
I
off.
was that good at it though.
It is harder than it looks. Like,
It is.
yeah, we had a jersey collector come in, and I wasn't around, and he was texting me because he's at work, and he's like, I just need these numbers pressed on. I'm like, well, can you do it yourself? Like, I'm not there, and I'd rather you not bug my other employees. If there's an open heat press, please do it yourself. And I got back, and his numbers were all over the place. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And it's like, yeah, because it is a little more difficult than you would imagine. And I did it my whole life until like a year before we started the business. I got a heat press that I kept in my bedroom, but for my whole life I was just using an iron and an ironing board to press numbers down.
Would you say that's probably the easiest thing when it comes to creating jerseys? Is like the heat pressing of the numbers, or is that some or stitching or whatever?
Yeah, I think they're both pretty complicated. Like when we hire heat pressers, like they're all given rulers. They're given the specifications where that goes, and from time to time we come across people who just don't get it, and it's hard to understand. Like if you're not familiar with hockey jerseys and you're coming in like, oh, okay, there's numbers on the sleeve. It's hard for them, and then when they finally get it, obviously they fly. But and then the sewing part, we we hire people from, I don't know if you know the company Canada Goose. They're high end winter wear, and they're made here in Winnipeg too. And we get a lot of employees from them, and they make $2,000 jackets, $500 toques, and like it's ridiculous how expensive their stuff is and how high quality it is. But
Wow.
when we hire their staff, they don't know what to do. Like they've never sewn with these machines, they've never sewn this style. It usually takes a sewer like a month to month and a half to get good at sewing the way we like it sewn. But once they get it, it's easy enough. But it's still like, because like the heat pressing is obviously the decoration put on the jersey that everyone looks at, but also the stitching is part of the aesthetic too. Like you want that stitching to be straight, you want it to be all symmetrical, you don't want it waving around or going off the number. And when a jersey's in the right light, it can really pick up those stitches and makes it um, like beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool on the whole stitching and the heat press thing. Again, I was never good at it because it really is harder than what it looks. You have to make things center, the numbers centered and everything. So
Yeah, and leveled. It's and on the sleeve, you got to make sure it's down the center of the sleeve. And old jerseys used to be so much easier because they would have a straight line across the back and a straight horizontal or vertical line where the center of the shoulders were. And then when Reebok took over, that was gone, and then Adidas, and now we're on to Fanatics. So
yeah,
it's getting harder and harder to find those corners. And even on the Reebok jerseys, like the sleeve stripe was always at an angle. I guess it's because players usually have their arms bent, so they wanted the stripe to look straight. But when you straighten out the arm, it was at like a weird angle. So it's hard to line up the numbers straight when your base is at an angle. And it was. I'm glad Reebok's not doing it anymore.
really, that's interesting. Do you like what Fanatics is doing or
Yeah,
Adidas?
well, I knew that Fanatics would have to redeem themselves after the entire baseball debacle, which they insist they
Hmm.
had nothing to do with it. They were just following Nike's specifications. But I knew I was never a big fan of the dimples on the shoulders of the Adidas jerseys. They claimed it added more cushion, which, yeah, it was softer, but I don't know if concussions were reduced significantly because of the soft, dimply shoulders. But uh, I getting rid of that, I think, just makes the jersey look a lot more professional. And I made a short video about comparing the two. Like, it does look like the Fanatics is a bit more robust of a jersey too. The old ones had just one. The Adidas had one patch of double layer fabric on the elbow, where now these jerseys, the entire thing from the elbow down is double layer jersey.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I just want to have your preference here. Do you have like a favorite color or color combination when it comes to like the jerseys? Like, do you like the red and black, like the Hurricanes, or other different combinations?
Yeah. Well, blue and orange, like I always thought looked great together. I always thought that was like I would use it in my own like designing stuff when I lived on my own. Now it's black and white, but yeah, I would try and get pillows that were blue and orange. I was always a fan of like when gray came along, when the Kings, because I was there before gray was ever a color in hockey, and when the Kings got
Yeah.
Gretzky and gray changed to black and gold and gray, I remember everyone was just like, "This is crazy, gray." And then San Jose came along a couple years later, and it's like teal. Holy cow! So uh, all these colors are coming out of nowhere, and then it was the Ducks with eggplant, and I love that eggplant look. I wasn't a big fan of the Ducks when they came into the league, but I did love those color combinations, the eggplant and the jade with the gray.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and I'm it's too bad they didn't go back to it, but I really like what they did with that jersey, like their new one with the numbers. Just think that orange is pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, with you saying blue and orange, I'm like, well, that just proves you're a good Oilers fan right there.
Yeah, yeah, it's and I don't think that I think it's just been ingrained from me. Like when I was a kid, just looking at Gretzky pictures, Gretzky posters, and it was just like, just yeah, I'm just a product of that environment.
Yeah, what do you think of Edmonton now? Obviously, you grew up in the Gretzky area. I mean, what do you think
Yeah,
of them right now?
well, I guess the last 2 years have been really slow starts. Like, it was a great finish last year, almost, but they
Yeah.
started off slow again this year, and it's just frustrating. So they're going to find their feet, obviously. I don't. People tell me that Skinner's a good goalie. I'm like, yeah, yeah, he's pretty good, but he's not like a steal the show kind of guy. But I don't know. Like he did take them to Game 7, and that wrist shot was a pretty weak one that broke the tie. But uh, I don't know. The team should have scored more, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're in a good situation. I would like to see them make a move to get a little more depth on defense.
Yeah. Do you have like a current active player on Edmonton? Like, is it McDavid or Draisaitl or?
Yeah, it's just like I find it weird to like I like players and stuff, but like I'm not a fan of anyone because I'm too old and they're
Yeah.
young enough to be my kids now, and I don't want to meet McDavid and be like I look up to you. Like, "Ew, you're a creepy old man." But yeah, McDavid, like the guy skates like phenomenally, and I just watched a video about how much better hockey players are trained and their skill level is so high these days compared to the '80s, and uh, yeah, it's just crazy how better everyone is. And when you watch those games, like you're just watching a hockey game, you don't see everything that goes into what they're doing out there, like all the details. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, the game kind of transformed into more of a skill type of game when Gretzky came in. Like, he was really the model.
Yeah. And then it kind of got away from it for a while, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. But then there was
Yeah.
that lockout in 2005 where they cut down on all the stick infractions and stuff. And then Crosby and Ovechkin popped out after that lockout. And all of a sudden the ice was wide open for them. And then scoring went through the roof again. And it was fun to watch hockey again. There was no traps and all that.
Yeah. New Jersey was really famously known for that trap game back in the
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Yeah.
So I just want to say my last question to you. Let's say someone is out there that wants to do what you do for a living. What type of advice would you want to give them?
Well, it's like take business courses for sure, and start when you're younger. Like I said to Jay so many times, like, why didn't we start this when we were 20? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I was 39 when we started, and it's just like, obviously there's a time for everything and probably wouldn't have worked out, but uh, yeah, starting when you're young is key. Like being knowledgeable about business and whatever. Like if you're in getting into jerseys, make sure you're super knowledgeable about that, but also knowledgeable of the business side. Unless you have a straight up business guy that you can just partner up with, and then do that. But also be prepared for it to kind of uh, like damage your relationship with jerseys, because I found like I had like 100 jerseys I've collected, like that were birthday presents when I was 18, or got when I was 15 or something like that, and I just got sick of seeing them at home because I saw jerseys all day at work that I
Mhm.
sold them all. And the whole idea was to sell them all to get a down payment for a house, which I ended up doing, and getting a house. But it was like when we were doing the collector stuff too, like collectors um very particular, and it can yeah, kind of reduce your love for it. But as long, like, for collecting for yourself, so be prepared to want to have jerseys anymore. Anything nice that we do at work, I don't bring home anymore. We'll put it up at work. So home, other than, like, I actually have a Gretzky Nike Oilers jersey here and a first year Gretzky Kings jersey here. Those are the only two hockey jerseys allowed in the house, but they're in frames. So so they're a little bit more classy than just hanging in a closet. But yeah, so that's the only advice I give you. It's not that I don't love jerseys anymore, and I still want them to look the best. I just don't want to see them when I get home.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing you're kind of just that person that wants a good, healthy balance of work and life, right?
Yeah, and now I have a kid too, so it can't just be jerseys all the time. And although
Exactly.
he's
Yeah.
he's got 3 jerseys, and Orioles, Oilers, and Jets, so he's on his way. He'll have a collection pretty soon.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, Keener, thank you for coming on. I thought that was a really good conversation we had about jersey making. Just thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sam, for having me, and yeah, hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, so definitely. So, listeners, we'll see you guys again on our next episode.